Our brains are amazing. They've developed to reflect, absorb, rearrange, and redistribute information in ways that favor our evolutionary development as a species. Still, as great as the construction is, flaws do exist. Why, if we have the capability of rational reasoning, do we still fall prey to irrational ways of thinking and acting? The contradiction between our reflexive and ancestral mind system and more recent deliberative system can make our life erratic and irrational. Our reflexive mind is part of the brain processing mechanism that was designed to deal with instant change or survival at the early stage of human development and can be found in other large mammals. Once conditions of survival for human race became better, in came the deliberative system, which is related to in-depth thinking. Both systems operate independently and are kluged together rather than being perfectly aligned. The mind is built around kluges, which are best guesses of the irrational and illogical kind that help to stitch together elements of our psyche and carry out decisions and activities in interrelation, despite the contradictory nature of those elements. These kluges are our minds creatively guessing and suggesting strategies that we call reality. There are 5 basic reference elements of the mind that interplay with each other and are all trying to produce best possible outcomes within their own biological limitations. These are memory, belief, language, pleasure, and choice, and are the components of all thought mechanisms that help us create and predict our actions. Rationality demands a thorough and judicious balancing of evidence, but our reflexive memory isn't attuned to that. People can be rational, not because we're naturally built like that, but because we learn the rules of logic. Small things like sudden luck, or recently seen numbers or reading sentences in a certain order are just a few factors that bias our choices because of the reflexive mind. Pleasure and beliefs define everyday actions. The words we use frame our mood. The influence of irrational factors over decision-making are very powerful. One study, for example, asked selected target groups how likely they were to buy a car in the next 6 months. People who had been asked were almost twice as likely to do so than those who weren't asked. So, just the asking prompted the buying. Some of mind's functions are related with a chain of cognitive kluges, which is the reason why normal people may lose control. For example, the clumsy apparatus of self-control, confirmation bias, belief-motivated reasoning, and the contextual nature of memory. A study exposed that people to whom a happy face was shown for a 60th of a second and after that offered a new soft drink brand were drinking it more and willing to pay twice as much for the privilege. In this case, contextual memory reflected positive evaluation of the happy face, what motivated to have pleasure of drinking lemonade twice as much without rational reasoning. Individuals have context-driven memory as opposed to perfectly archiving everything, as a linear computer might. Still, linear models are adopted in creating states, governing people, teaching, and employing people. It is so because current economical theory and practice considers citizens fully rational, capable of free choice and reasoned decisions, which is quite opposite. Practice is that people make irrational choices much more frequently than rational. Highly rational expectations, standards, and judgments seem controversial to our nature, as if we rebel against them. Is rationality the best way to achieve a harmonious society? The activities of the human mind are full of errors that are fixed with kluges, which are part of our nature that we can't deny. People need rational thought to avoid hurtful experiences and make positive ones. But it's not rationality that makes us happy. The fact that humans appear to be more irrational than rational creates contradictions, which develop into tensions. It's necessary for us to resolve or embrace our state of irrationality to avoid those tensions, and in understanding these, that we may have a better life. Most ideas are driven from the book by Gary Marcus Kluge, The Haphazard Construction of the Human Mind.